So, we've talked to everybody. Every time I do this, Curtis says I open all my dialogue with so. What are you gonna do? Anyway, we did a survey last week, and we asked how people would like the videos brought to them. Would they like one longer video, as we did last week a couple of times, or the shorter videos that we were doing before? I personally like the longer one just because I like to talk. But from all the emails we received, most everybody liked the longer videos also. So we're going to do those for a little while and see how it works out. Again, a number of things we can talk about, obviously, when the videos are longer. How the horses raced this week, how they trained. I think I'll start with let's get the bad news out of the way. A little bit of an injury report, if you will. So Lemus Unqualified was scratched the other night, and a lot of people were wondering why. Obviously, the owners knew why, and I knew why. His leg blew up, and we couldn't really figure out why. He schooled well. He seemed like he was prepped really well for the race. And then Jason texted me and said, would you mind coming down and having a look at Lemus' son's leg? The vet's coming in a little while. I wanted to get your take on it. And I knew as soon as I looked at it that there was something going on there. It wasn't a blister or a bruise or something like that. So sure enough, we had sent him up to the vet. And the vet x-rayed him and found a broken splint bone, which is common, but the splint bone is secondary to the original injury. The horse, it looks like he slipped, or he, for whatever way or reason, he stretched his ligament. She didn't find any lesions or tears in the suspensory, but what she called or categorized as micro tears, many micro tears in the suspensory. I guess when you're talking about a young horse, there's no way to know how long that takes to heal. I think the good news is there's no core lesions or tears throughout the suspensory, but obviously it's an injury. It's an injury that's going to set him back quite a bit of time. It's a heartbreaking injury, not just because I own a big chunk of him, but because he was a very, very nice horse, and one that I was really awaiting his return to see how he would come back. So the secondary part of that swelling in the suspensory is sometimes it puts too much pressure on the splint bones that run alongside those ligaments, and it'll pop one of them. And it did. It broke it, sheared it clean off. Halfway down, it's not irregular. It's something that happens quite a bit. So we'll take that splint bone out. We'll have Dr. Llewellyn come in and take that splint bone out very easily. And then the healing starts. So everybody obviously asked, how long? I don't know. He'll stand in the stall for a month. We'll work on that leg. I know a friend of mine has one of the Theralays, the lasers. We'll put that on him. I guess I have to ask first, but I assume I can use it. We'll put that on him and keep checking it. But you won't see Lemus' son until the end of the summer, maybe the fall now. So that's pretty troubling and pretty upsetting, saddening news, but not career-ending. And depending on I want to circle back with the vet on her take on the micro tears. Depending on her overall philosophy of that, I don't know what kind of an impact it'll have on his racing career. Somewhere between none and obviously not as bad as a hole or a clean tear, but so I'm a little curious as to that. So I guess the news was somewhere closer to best case than worst case for the injury, but it is an injury. So he's done for a while. Beck's Pride kicked the wall. He got sick last week. We scratched him. Then he is feeling good and kicked the wall, and he's lame on his left hind. I was sending out an email, actually, when I started this. It's nothing serious, I don't think, but it is a bruise, and, if he's not sound in 3 or 4 days, we'll be suspicious of something else, but as of right now, I assume it's just a bruise. So we'll take our time with him. He'll probably miss another week and be back racing next week. So I thought I had talked about all the horses last week between those 2 videos, but I missed some. There's so many horses now. So I wrote them all down today, and we're going to get them all. Boston Glide. Boston Glide schooled well 3 weeks in a row. Boston Glide's a bit of a flabby bugger. He's like a big fat kid. And it takes a little more work to get him in shape. I noticed last summer when we were getting the other horses ready for the qualifiers, it just took him a little bit longer to get to get in shape, and it did that again this year. It took, instead of taking 1 or 2 schoolers, geez, I think we schooled him like 4 times. And then we qualified him, and I was at Flamborough. I said, I'll get James to go with him. And I told James, he gets a little lazy, a little, as I called it to one of our clients, lackadaisical at the gate, and he fell off the gate, you know, and just didn't do his work and went 1 mile and 2.4. It was windy and whatnot, and I wasn't that concerned. But obviously, after schooling him in 2.2 a couple of times and then having him qualify in 2.4, we had quite a few questions about that. So I took him out and I schooled him in 2 minutes this week. He was very, very good. I was really, really happy with what I saw. It's funny, you can now see him grinding his way into shape, and I was really happy with what I saw last Thursday. So he'll be in. His first lifetime start will be Thursday at Woodbine. You know, I don't know what that start will look like, but I expect he'll do well, hopefully. Sally DeVee, her class didn't go this week, so she's going to have to race at Woodbine next week too. Now, off 2 weeks, moving from Flamborough to Woodbine is probably not the best scenario, but the class at Flamborough just isn't filling. So we are going to race her at Woodbine next week. Broadway Maya, I'll touch on a couple of racehorses too. Broadway Maya won her last 2 starts. She was having a tough time finding her way in 2018. We moved her into the claiming ranks a couple of races, and she won those. We're going to move her back to the condition ranks on Thursday. Not quite sure she can do in the straight numbers of 40, but we'll afford her every right to do in there. She won her last 2 starts. She doesn't owe anybody anything, well, except for the purchase price. So, you know, she'll be a while making back all of her money to put those clients back in the black. But winning races certainly counts. So 2 wins under her belt in her last 2 starts, moving forward back into the numbers of 40. We'll see how she can do this week. Jason, she ties up a little bit, so Jason doesn't train her in between. I just asked him this morning how she's doing. He said she was fine, seemed good, come out of the race good, and was eating good. So those are always positive points. Airway, I qualified him Thursday morning at Flamborough. 2.2, come a half in a minute. I thought he was really good. He's in to go at London. Now, usually London's a really soft bunch, but geez, I see there's a couple of tough horses in there this week. So I don't know what to think. I think he'll have a good showing. He's coming back sharp. He looks good. He's staying sound. He had a foot problem last year. He popped a quarter crack, and it really pestered him most of the season, and his feet look really, really good. So I don't know. I think he'll have a good showing on Wednesday, I believe. Wednesday in London. American League, a little flat last night. Not last night. What night? Friday night he raced. American League, Jason was explaining to me that his toes were a little long, and the blacksmith came in and he thought he took a little too much toe off him. Sometimes when you take a fair amount of toe off a trotter, well, for the horsemen out there, you understand what I'm talking about. For the people that aren't horsemen, trotters need a certain amount of balance and weight, and some of them like a longer toe, and this guy had a good 4-inch toe on him, and I think the blacksmith came in. It certainly wasn't his fault. I mean, it's not like, I don't think Jason, you know, it was the way it was portrayed to me was he didn't tell him, hey, don't take much toe off him, just shoe him. So he did, and you think he took a little too much toe off him. You could see him get a little rocky and rough in the corners, and I think that was his feet bothering him. So we'll see how he races. Redwood again. I was really pissed off after the race on Friday. If you watched the race, there was some interference up front. Jody's horse made a break, and the horse is in front of me making a break. I moved over, and when I moved over, Randy Waple shot through the inside of me. I guess wasn't, whatever. I mean, he was just driving his horse, but I was stuck on the outside. You know, I had no plan on even moving that horse until the stretch, and here I was caught first over with him off a 6-month layoff. So it was a pretty horrible trip. Horse got a little rough in the turns. He did that last year too, but in a different way. For the people from the naked eye taking a look at it, probably looked like the same thing he did last year. It didn't feel that way to me. I think he just has a couple little tiny aches and pains, and from what I saw, I think we can stay on top of it. I talked to Jason afterwards about it, about potentially making a little shoeing change and doing a little vet work on him, and I think that will be and driving him different. He's a little horse. He's not a, you know, first over grind away type horse. He's a sprinter, so you got to get him close, stay close, and attack when the front end falters a little bit, and that's how he needs to be driven. So I pretty much drove him the opposite of how he needs to be driven. Now I have no problem telling you I drove a horse bad, but I was kind of stuck in a bad spot when Randy kind of drove through. What am I going to do? I'm stuck there. There's nothing I can do. So I expect better things from him and myself this week coming. Run Speedster's racing great. He's got the second and a fourth his last 2 starts, I think. Raced well last week. I think that's a good fit for him, that class. He races again this week. you know, if he was 8 to 5, we'd probably move him into a condition rank. But I don't know. We'll talk to our clients about him. They like him, so we'll see how he races this week and how he comes out of the race. And if he's not claimed, then we'll decide what we're going to do on a race by race basis, if you will. And I know that you know, Jason had talked to a number of the clients and talked to me also and said, geez, you know, it's tough to want to move him out of that claiming rank when he's going away at 15 to 1, and he's right, you know. So you know, and this is the dynamic of the stable, is talking to our clients, talking to our trainers, and having an open dialogue about what's going on. And that's the one thing that's always been missing from this industry, is dialogue. So I make sure that I talk to Jason, I make sure I talk to our clients, and we're all on the same page. And if people feel more comfortable speaking to Jason directly, then they're more than welcome. They do on a quite frequent basis. So so that's good. Speedster's in Monday. Drew the rail. Jesus, you know, it's a tough spot to get away from a trotter that's a little unsure of himself. We just took the hobbles off him 3-4 starts ago, and he's had hobbles on for 2 years, virtually every race of his life up until this year. So I'd rather not leave the rail, to be honest. I'd rather leave in the middle of the gate 4 or 5, but you don't get to pick the position. So that's how it is. Buckeye Babe, she's getting ready, almost back. Another 2 weeks probably, and she'll be ready to go. Put about 10 or 12 pounds on, which looks a lot on her. She's a very thin, frail filly, but she got the heart of a lion, that's for sure. She's a nice little filly. She'll be ready to go in a few weeks. I haven't sat behind her. I watched Jason train her the other day. I was on the track with one of our babies, and he was out there training her. She looked good. So I would imagine she'll be ready to go in a few weeks. Now our power, he faltered his last 2 starts. Jason made some shoeing adjustments on him. I schooled him on Thursday. I thought he was better. I think we'll probably drop him back down to a lower class, lower claimer, to see if we can get some class relief for him. You know, it's a long old winter, and sometimes the horses get tired. Unfortunately for Now Our Power, if he's a little tired, we'll probably sell him, because you know, resting, keeping, training back, and racing a horse of that caliber just isn't feasible, really. And you know, he is a good horse, and you know, if he gets back down in where he can beat up on horses, he'll probably spring back to life, and that's what we're hoping. So he'll be in probably a little bit cheaper class this week coming up, but I was happy with what I saw in a schooler on Thursday morning at Flamborough. So that's a positive thing also. Peregrine Blue Chip, she's a ways from the races yet. We had those OCDs removed from her ankles, and I trained her. Jason had come up and asked me to go last trip with her Saturday in between baby sets, and I did, and she's still not perfect, but she's tough nut to crack, that filly, but she's getting there, and hopefully we can get her racing. I would say you won't see her in the go within the next month, but she's training. She's on her way down, so hopefully we get some luck in that regard. Where are we at? Promise Blue Chip, race good last night. For those of you watching out last night, I'm recording this obviously Saturday night. I let Book the Bet go, leaving the gate. I didn't want to see Promise Blue Chip on the front. I think the Promise Blue Chip's quite a bit better than those fillies. We did find the spot that was bothering her. She had a curb left hind. Jason had called and said, vet said the curb was bothering her left hind. They cryoed it. We only gave her a week, and we're working on it. But you can really see it take some velocity off of her if you want. It takes some of the kick out of her. And although I think if she was on the front last night, she jogs. She kind of got caught in a bad spot, and I backed her up around everybody, and it just wasn't a good feeling. It wasn't a good race, but as it turned out, I should have stayed where I'm at. But on a half-mile track, you should always get in the habit of filing to the outside. You shouldn't get in the habit of hoping and wishing that holes open up and seams open up. And, you know, at the time when I was backing her out in the 4-wide path, she felt like she had enough kick to pop by them, and she just, as I said, the velocity was missing a little bit, and she came up a little bit short. But finished up well, passed horses, raced well, was sounder, happier, and less agitated on the track. For those of you who watch our races closely, you could see in the last 2 post parades she was bouncing around quite a bit. And in the race I won with her, she physically looked a little uncomfortable going back to the wire, and she wasn't like that last night. So clearly Jason found the spot with her, and she was better. So I expect another good showing next week. Real Willy's almost there. I trained him a real good mile at Woodbine before the qualifiers on Thursday. I'm not going to say how much, but it was a good mile with a good last quarter. Willy's polishing up nicely. A few little aches and pains still. His feet bothered him last year and his knees bothered him. So as you transition from those slower miles to a, wide open pace, it opens up some old sorenesses, if you will, and not a big deal, just typical athletic stuff, and he'll get over it. He'll get over it really quick. I don't think there's any need to be concerned in any way. I was very, very happy with what I saw on Thursday, and I would assume he'll be in to qualify within the next 2 weeks. Fan the Flames raced awesome. The only slight against Fan the Flames is he hits up on his jack, and a big jack now. It's bothering him, but it's just bruising. It's not a big deal. Short term, it's pain in the butt. Long term, it's virtually nothing. Raced well, got off the gate. You can see I was a little surprised his first start on Lasix. He raced that well. Yeah, the mile wasn't fast, but horse hadn't raced in almost 3 weeks. So really, really happy with what I saw from Fan the Flames. McKinnon, he's a gelding now. McKinnon, we castrated him, and I felt like an idiot. I wrote an email and it sat there in the drafts portion. I didn't hit send, and then I had people saying, "Hey, where's McKinnon? Hey, where's McKinnon?" And we gelded him. We castrated McKinnon, and he'll be racing this Thursday. Trained on Saturday. I didn't personally see him train, but I just talked to Jason a little while ago, and he said he was really happy with what he saw. Obviously, you're not going to see a change in horse's attitude like that, but hopefully gradually it comes along. This has been mounting for a while. He's always been on the bubble of being castrated since long before racing last year. And he raced well enough all summer. I said, he'll come back good. He come back okay, but still didn't have that desire, that pop that he should have. And it was just a logical conclusion that we gelded him. So we did. Looks good. Off Broadway. A number of people were trying to sell shares off Broadway and get out, and they didn't know what was going on with them. And I'd sent an email out. For those of you that don't know, Off Broadway is a well-bred colt, very nice colt, and built like a good horse. The problem was he kept tying up. We had a real problem last year. 4 or 5 times he'd tie up, and not like a tiny amount. Tying up is when, so you can measure the level of tie-up in a horse. It'd be like you spraining your back or straining your back, how painful that can be. Well, the horse ties up. What happens is, as their muscle fibers break, this enzyme is released in an AST, and you can measure the AST level. Now, every horse is different. Some horses will go with an elevated AST, and some can't. But Off Broadway's elevation is off the charts. Like, it gets really high, so he can't function. And Kevin, when I first moved him down to Kevin, I had told him this, and I think just the transition and the weather alone, he tied up. So we qualified him. I was happy with what I saw, and then he tied up. We had to give him time off, and last night was his first start back in a month. He hadn't really trained at all in that month. I really didn't expect much, and he was only, fifth beat 3 lengths, maybe 3.5 lengths. I thought he raced huge. I was happy with what I saw, so I expected better things. You can see he'll race better next week and the week after. I think Kevin's got a real handle on him now. The whole thing with tying up is to make sure you keep the horses in a strict schedule out in the field at the same time every day, same diet, same time you go on the track, the same way you put them away. Just everything has to be meticulous all the time, and I think Kevin's got him on a good schedule. So I'm happy there. Happy Holidays is back jogging. Kevin's got her. She just had some time off. She was going wide open for 2 years. For those of you that don't know who Happy Holidays is, she's a filly we bought last year, and we bought her out of the condition claimer. She worked her way right up into the preferred 2, preferred 3 classifications. She set the all-age track record for fillies and mares, and if I'm not mistaken, and I'm certain I'm right, she was the fastest filly, trotting mare, trotting female, I would bet, on a half-mile track in Canada last year. 154 and 4 over Flamborough. She's going to bring a lot to the table for Kevin, and she looks great. Put some weight on, sharp, feeling good. Exactly what we needed her to do with her time off. So very happy to see her back. Everybody keeps asking, where's Stonebridge Hall? And I keep delaying and delaying. Stonebridge Hall had a tiny tear in his suspensory left hind, and we've had him up to the vet a few times, and before we start training him, I want to make sure it's right. Because the horse can go with an 80 or 90% structural suspensory, but that injury is always there, and it won't get better. So it's a ticking time bomb. If you don't have it right, you're looking for trouble. He's almost perfect. The vet asked us for 2 more weeks before we start training. In 2 more weeks, we'll take the horse up there. If the vet says away you go, then away we go. And it'll pay dividends. This is a very, very fast horse. Now, I'll be honest, the rate of re-injury in hind suspensories is high. But I would suspect it's high because people don't put the proper schedule in place for a horse with a torn suspensory. The vet says 3 months, so they start back in 3 months. Well, every horse heals in a different rate, and I really think what you need to do is, after 3 months, get the horse rechecked, and I think that's why there's such a high rate. We're going to see, because this one's going to be done right, and you're going to see if Stonebridge Hall is better or not. Dancing at Midland, Kevin come up and told me he trained him in 2-2 here on Saturday. He's ready to rock. I just saw him starting his mile. I was coming off the track with one of the sets. I saw him starting at his mile. This colt looks serious now. He looks real good. He'll be ready to rock. I think he'll probably be schooling this week, qualifying next week. Dancing at Midland, really happy to see this colt come back. He's fast. He's quick on his feet. And sky's the limit for this guy. We're going to have to see where he fits when he comes back and what he does. But I know Kevin was ecstatic. I didn't personally see the mile. I just saw the start, and he looked great. But Kevin was very, very happy with him. Roadtripper looked incredible. Now, technically, Roadtripper's not a stable horse. He's a me horse. I own like 97% of them. But Roadtripper is a horse that, I talked about this in last week's video. He's near and dear to my heart. And he qualified in 2 minutes, come 28-4. Looked awesome. Really, really happy to see that horse. And for those of you out there, and we talked about this also, Kevin has done a tremendous job with Roadtripper. His feet hurt him. His knees hurt him. He's as big as any 6-year-old, and he's just turned 3. He's a big boy. And he's done a great job with this horse. He looked great the other day. I was very, very happy with him. Dewey Ann, she schooled good the other day, but that foot's still bothering her. There's nothing structurally wrong with it. There's no cracks or breaks or anything like that. It's sore. She had an old foot separation there, and, you know, she tried the last half in 58 a piece the other day and went a mile 2-4, but she's a work in progress. She's a sweet little filly. She loves to do her work. Hopefully we can find a spot for her and get those feet cooled down and healed up good for her next week. Booked a bet, raced awesome again last night. She's a big bulldozer. She lost her shoe in the first turn when I was letting her go, but I didn't really think it'd play a big role, and I'm not saying it did, but she's a meat and potatoes horse, you know, and those are the types of horses that just grind money out every week, and I think she'll continue to do that. She's a decent filly, and I'm waiting for her to really dig in and come forward. I think she will. She needs some weight. She's always a little frail. I shouldn't say frail. She's a big bone filly, but her barrel is thin, and she eats more than any horse on the premises, I think. So for those of you that are going to email me and say, oh, maybe she's ulcers, yeah, I know. We put her on ulcer medication. She's been on it for a while. She just doesn't gain weight, and I think she's just a growing filly. I think she'll put weight on at her own rate. She's not skinny, but I would like to see 50 more pounds on her, and I think her performance would be better with 50 more pounds too. So there's time, lots of time yet. She got the City of London pace coming up and the OSS Sire Stakes starting at some point down the road in the next 2 months, I guess, month and a half. Delmar J just continues to race good. 4th last night, a little flat, I thought, but the fact that he's trotting up to the gate and he's not looking to run at all says a lot about this colt. He wants to do his work, and I think as he's always had little aches and pains, and I think as those aches and pains dissipate, you're going to see this horse really roar forward. He's got a great way about him on the track. He's got a beautiful gait, and I think he's going to be a Sire Stakes horse of some sort. Likely, I would say grassroots, but mentally he's there. He's getting it, and he wants to do it. So I wouldn't say he was awesome last night, but he was very good. Kickin Desktop, I schooled him. There's a colt that had a big, dirty foot separation left front, and you know, he's been plagued with minor injuries that bothered him. And I schooled him on Thursday night. Kevin has him, and he said, you know, just tell me what you think. He got a little rough in the first turn, but overall I thought he was good, comfortable, poised. He's not a great horse right now, but he's getting better, and he wants to do it. And I will always stick up for horses that want to do it, and this colt wants to do it. So, you know, I would imagine he'll race this coming week. And again, he's starting to look really good again. That foot must have been really killing him. We touched on Beck's Pride. So, on to the babies. We had 10 sets. A lot of people here on Saturday again. The usual suspects. Maintenance man again. He's still the king of the barn, the bugger. You know, he raced good. He trained good, raced good. He trained good again. We've been letting his hobbles out, and I know Danny had said to me after, geez, you know, his hobbles are too long. Yes, they're too long. And he said, well, you know, if you pulled them in, it'd probably be easier on him. I'm not here to make it easy on him. I'm not here to make it easy on maintenance man. You know, we saw what happened with Cruising in Style last year when we made it easy on them. These are athletes. We're not going to make it easy on any of them. And if I have to let the air out of the tire of the jog carts, maintenance man is going to be working and working for his victories from here on in. And I think that's very important. So for me, I was very happy with what I saw. Like, we let his hobbles out like 3 holes in the last 7 days. So that's a fair amount to let a hobble out. I guess for those of you that don't know and don't sit behind horses, that's a lot to let a horse's hobbles out, especially on a half-mile track. And from what I saw, maintenance man looked great. Autumn Wings finished second to him in that training trip. She was good. I had aluminum shoes on her. When she was making breaks, I put aluminums on her, and she stopped making breaks. And you'd say, well, there you go. Aluminum shoes are hard on a baby. So I waited 3 weeks, and I put the steels back on her. She's not as good with steel shoes on, so I'm going to have to switch her back to aluminums again and just keep a real close eye on her, I think. So, easy fix, I guess. She wasn't bad by any means. I thought she was good, but not as good as she was. So, happy with her also. Antigua Deo trained well again. Danny went with her. Eric Cherry of Let It Ride Stables, he purchased all of her. He's now the 100% sole owner of Antigua Deo. So, for the bookkeeper of Antigua Deo, I still have your papers right here, actually. There's Antigua Deo's papers. I got to send those in the mail to Eric. He didn't mention sending her away yet, so she's here to stay for now, I guess. Very happy with what I saw with her again on Saturday. Arvika made a, you know, just obviously, what do you say about Arvika? She's a beast. I made a big move here with her at the, I'm here at the track right now. I made a big move with her here at the 5/8 cleared to the front, and then we went another half, and she was putting another big move on in the last turn, and she just got running in a little bit, and I lost her. She rolled off. It was my fault. But very, very good. Autumn Wings, Bay Jewel. Man, oh man, oh man. This filly's really, really getting it. Bay Jewel is a Guccio filly. We have 3 very, very serious contenders for Indiana. Now I'll try not to get lost on my list, but Indiana has Bay Jewel, Mr. Caper, and Swandre the Giant. Now there's a couple other horses. Stonebridge Loyal's on there. Stud Muffin's on there. Stud Muffin, we haven't resumed training yet. Very slow miles, nothing serious. Until he looks super comfortable and confident, I'm not going to push him. And Pam, who owns all of them, told me not to. So it makes my job really easy. So Stud Muffin, if he's ready, won't be ready till later in the summer. Stonebridge Loyal will be ready. She looks great also. But these 3 trotters, man, oh man, oh man, these are some nice horses. Mr. Caper, I trained him on Wednesday, and he felt like a 4-year-old in between starts. Swandre the Giant, the same way. And Bay Jewel, her and Mr. Caper went at it the last 3/8 here the other day. Now, we aren't, you know, excuse my expression, balls to the wall with them. We're pushing them. You know, we're pushing them along, but we're not wide open. And Bay Jewel and Mr. Caper, man, oh man, they were impressive yesterday. I can't say enough about those horses. Those 3 Indiana horses. Well, 4, because Stonebridge Loyal, I haven't got a chance to go with her since we've got her knees under control, but I'll go with her one of these days. She's always in the hunt, always in the mix, and looks good. But these 3 trotters, wow, they look really, really, really good. Be My Delight, I guess she got cast or something and put a little cut on her leg. Nothing serious, but I wasn't going to train her on Saturday, so we just jogged her. I was just at the burn 20 minutes ago, and she looks great. Leg looks fine, so not a big deal. Didn't get to go with her, but she's looked good. Beautiful little filly, great gait, doesn't wear a boot or pole or anything, just does everything right all the time. Better Call Mike starts back next week. For those of you who own Mike or were watching Mike, his knees were bothering him a bit. We decided to stop with him for a bit and really work on his knees. So he'll start back, I think a week from Monday. Mike will start back on the track. But he looks great. Jesus, I got to geld him. He's been in the stall for a few days or a couple of weeks, and he's just been ripping the place apart. Now he looks like a big whale. I just saw him. Jesus, I don't know what they're feeding him. He really sprouted up. So we're going to cut him Wednesday, I think. No, we're going to wait till next Wednesday because the vet likes to be able to jog them the day after because, as you can imagine, you know, ouch. And it gets a little swollen, so that you'd like to hand walk them or jog them. So we want to make sure that Mike can start back jogging when we castrate him. So he'll be done a week from Wednesday. Boldness, it's going to take some time. You know, just have some patience. Boldness wants to do it, but he's struggling. He's interfering. Not as bad as horses in the past that we've talked about, but I made a shoeing change on him last week, and it didn't work. So we're going to go back. The only thing you learn from making a shoeing change of that magnitude, I went from a full swedge egg bar behind to an aluminum shoe, and he was much worse. So we know we were in the right area with the egg bar. We just have to tinker him. I think standing him up a little bit more, maybe put a little borium on the toe. My only concern with that is his hind ankles his one hind ankle had a chip in it. Will that bother it? Got to keep a really close eye on that moving forward. So Boldness, he's doing his work. He trained last week. He trained fine, but he's going to have to do a lot more to get to the races, and it's just going to take time. And I had told everybody also he probably won't be ready until fall, late summer, fall, so no rush with him. Buckingham looked great again, bounced back after, I wouldn't say a bad training trip in the mud. She just got jammed down on that deep stuff, and she looked good again yesterday, really, really good. Now, Ricky said she was on the left line a little bit. She's done that before. I think I know what it is, so not a big deal there. We'll rectify that quite quickly. Captain Miraculous has looked great. The captain's feet bother him a little bit, but I think we got him under control. He wears ag bars up front, full swedge ag bars up front. I hate it, but he's got a little more heel than I'd like to see up front, but clearly he's more comfortable with it because he's looked great the last 2 weeks, and Harry was very, very happy with him on Saturday. So we're going to take note to how his feet look and how he shod right now. We're going to keep him that way for a while, but looked great on Saturday. Fantastic. Cashing on me every week gets a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Progression is the biggest thing. Now with Boldness, we're trying to get him over a hump. So he's kind of stuck in a little bit of a rut right now. Cash in on me continues to move forward slowly but surely. He's getting there. This is a very, very tall colt. He's starting to interfere much less as he gets muscle on him, widens out, and I'm really, really happy with what I've seen the last 3 weeks with Cash in on me. Again, we always end up talking about him because people keep dumping their shares in this colt, but I see progression. I see a good attitude, and the sky's always the limit for a horse with a good attitude. So Curious Winner. Well, he didn't kick the shit out of the cart, so that's a bonus. He won the training set on Saturday. He did make a break in the first turn, come back and won the set. I said to Ricky that the breaking stuff's gotta stop. There's no need for it. He's just being a bit of a softie in the turns, and I'm gonna be going with him this week, all week, and he's gonna get his head back in the game here before next Saturday. But fast, there's no issue. No issue with any speed or anything with Curious Winner. Cruising with Angus. Those of you that watch him, he's on the right line bad, real bad. Danny went with him yesterday and said he really wasn't on the line that bad at all. So he's clearly getting better. He understands what he's there to do now. You can see him sprint quick when you ask him and sit. Very, very smart colt. When we got him, he was stupid, but he's just green. I shouldn't say he was stupid. He was just green. But now he's really got his head in the game. He's really doing his work well. Casanova's Jewel, finally I got him where he needs to be, I believe. He looked great the other day. I trained him in about 228 on Wednesday. Little soft in the turn. So what happens is, these horses, they'll get to the turn, right? They'll square themselves up for the turn. They have to move around a little bit when they get to the turn because they'll interfere sometimes. So their front feet will touch their back legs, up in the shin area, down in the ankle area, pastern area, or even up in the jack area where the hock is. And when they do that, they want to run. Obviously, you can't blame them. But they have to learn to power through the turn. Get to the turn and not shorten their gait up, or just shorten it up a little less and push through. And you have to work on them. And you'll see, I'll talk about another horse that has excelled this week just from working with them. But Casanova's Jewel was much, much better here on Saturday. Very, very happy with what I saw with this colt. And exactly what I was expecting to see. Not surprised, just very, very happy. So good for him. Dancehall Babe's back jogging, looks great. Took those two pesky OCDs out of that left hind hock. The one was in a bad spot, and she looks great right now. I said to you the other day, keep your eye on her. Don't forget it. Keep your eye on Dancehall Babe. This is a good horse. I think she reminds me of a lot of good horses we had, and she's got the fire in her belly. First day back, she kicked and acted up, and you know she loves her work, but she likes to play. So keeping an eye on her. Delcrest Star Angel back jogging also. She missed a ton of time. You know, this filly's not going to be ready till the end of the summer, but I like what I see on the track from her. She also had OCDs removed and needed them removed. One was in a real pesky spot, and you can see every day she was on the track, she's better and better and better. So very, very happy with both those fillies right now. Final answer. Finally behaved himself. We got him hung up to where he's comfortable. You know, some of these horses, every horse is a little bit different, and Final Answer is a bit of a softie, and he was making breaks in the turns, and he's got a splint right front. You know, some horses get that splint and they'll get on the line a little bit, or they'll make the odd break. This horse, you'd think he was attacked with a meat cleaver or something. He did big. The one day he came out and he was lame, like lame. We looked at him, sure enough, it's just the splint. So we blistered it and blistered it. And blistering is just putting a hot paint on it. It causes a scurf on there, and it promotes healing. You know, so I went with him yesterday, and I thought he looked very, very good, poised, smart. He's getting it. I come last half in 11, I think, with him on the chalk cart, which is probably maybe too much, but I really wanted him to stretch out through those turns and really push him, and he did well. So I was happy with him. Friggin Beggin. Biggest mover of the week. Last week I said it was King of the Ball. This week it's Friggin Beggin. Friggin Beggin trained awesome Wednesday, trained awesome again on Saturday. Here's a horse. He had a bad attitude a little bit. He was a stud at Christmas. We cut him. I didn't get to go with him that much, and over the last 2 weeks I did, and trained well last week. Another horse, touch himself in the turns, box his gate up and run. Pushed him through the turns the last 2 weeks, really worked with him. It's not really rocket science, you know, jogged them quietly through the straightaways and then asked them to accelerate in the turns. And he did. He drew blood in a couple little spots, which, not the end of the world, but the fact that he drew blood and powered through the turns and then accelerated out of the turns, that's what I want to see. Horses that can do that are starting to understand how they need to train and what they need to do in the training mile. And what I saw the other day was, and yesterday again, was a smart horse that was willing to do his work. He just needed to be taught, and I think you'll see some drastic improvements from that colt. Probably about 25 pounds overweight. So as we get him leaned down and slimmed up and trotting good, I think you'll see a nice horse. The Heart 8 trained well again on Saturday. She's a well-bred filly, Bettor's Delight filly, and I expect her to do good things. We're going to keep sneaking her hobbles out also and see how that works out. It's worked out well so far, so happy with what I've seen. I don't think you're going to see her say, oh, she's the best horse in the barn. Not until maybe till the last minute, hopefully, because she is a big filly. And I think you're going to see her best miles on a bigger track when we get her over to Mohawk later in the spring. So she's doing everything right now. Very happy to see what I've seen in Heart 8. Holding steady. Big lazy bugger, you know. He's going to take some time. He does his work. He trains well. He's just not, you know, wow, you know, but that's not a big deal. He's got a bigger, heavier, longer frame than a lot of these horses, and it tires him out. This track tires him out. So no rush. We'll get there with Holding Steady. It's just going to take a little time. He'll be ready to go this summer, though. Ivanka trained good on Wednesday. Ivanka's knees bother her, and we have some corrective shoeing on her right now. Very happy with what I saw on Wednesday. And then Friday she lost a shoe, or lost the pad that we had on her, and she was a little bit sore Friday. Saturday I saw her, she was good. She's growing up also. Her stifles are obviously, you can tell, are wide open, and they're really soft and weak, and just progression stuff. But really happy with what I saw on Wednesday. Didn't train her on Saturday. Wasn't going to play with fire. She didn't look 100%, so we didn't train her, but absolutely no concern here with there. You still see her moving forward. You still see her wanting to do her work. She was out playing on the track on Saturday, and very, very happy with what I saw. So I think that's an easy enough fix. We just have to stay on top of it all the time. There can't be days where, you know, she loses a shoe and we jog her anyway. There can't be days that, you know, if she's not right, we don't go with her. Simple as that. We treat all the horses on a case-by-case basis here, and I think that's why you see as many as you do get to the races, because we treat them as the individuals they are. So you'll see her next week train, I would imagine, but she did not go on Saturday, but I'm still happy. I saw her jog. She looked great. Just a Tad continues to impress again and again and again. Quietly one of our stronger trotters. Very strong, does his work really well, accelerates well. He was really good again on Saturday. Not much more to say about him. He's always doing his job very, very well. Candy Mac trained well again. Old Candy, I love watching Candy go. He's done very, very well. looks good on the track, smart, just flawless all the time. Just a really, really nice horse to watch. So really excited to see where that horse will end. So here's a horse that from day one did it right, continued to grow muscle and gain speed, and I'm really excited to see what that's going to translate to this summer. King of the Ball looked good again. Danny went with him, kept him safe, kept him out of harm's way. You know, had mentioned he thought his hobbles were long, but we're not bringing them in. They're staying right where they're at. King of the Ball, the fact that he hasn't run now his last 3 times training, so 3 in a row, he looks good. He's every time we get a flat line, every time we get a flat mile into him without breaks, without any sort of interference in his training, goes a long way for him. So for me, I'm very happy with what I saw on Saturday in King of the Ball. Christine K again looked good, a little soft at times, but she's a filly and she's finding her way. And I had to say this the other day, keep in mind she didn't show up here till open house day, right at the end of 2017, so she's a little ways behind everybody else. Otherwise, I was happy. Linnea looked like a fantastic little filly again. Who went with her? Todd went with her. Todd went with her and loved her. Said she did everything right, and she's been like that. I haven't gone with her in a few weeks, and probably I won't get to go with her for a while, but everybody that sits behind this filly loves her. Maintenance Man again looked great. I talked about him in my opening. I don't have to keep saying it. He's a nice colt. Majesty Boy looked great again. On Saturday. Now, Mark Isabel, one of the riders here, and he said, on the left line a little bit, I'm not too worried about it. There doesn't seem to be any lameness there, any issues there. These colts are going to get on a line from time to time training down, but keeping an eye on it, you know, it's recorded. We know that he's on the left line. We're going to keep an eye on him next week and see how he goes next week. Maxwell Plum. Lord above. Maxwell Plum became our fastest trotter of 2018. Fastest horse in the barn right now, 2018. I wasn't going to tell you, I'm still not going to tell you how fast he went the other day. It wasn't crazy fast, but the way he did it. You know who he reminds me of? He's a man of many missions also. Mystical Mission, the horse that we claimed, and he's done pretty good for us. He won at Woodbine the other day. He's bigger, obviously, than Maxwell Plum, but same type of floppy gait to him. They both wear the same hobbles too, but Maxwell Plum's a worker, man. He's another meat and potatoes horse. I really like him. The other day was the first day I gone with him in, Jesus, 6 weeks, and I was really, really happy with him. Mo Better, I sat behind him the other day and sparked him up. He's a little bit of a lazy bugger too, and he was really sharp on Saturday. Him and King of the Ball went at it in the training session. They both look really, really well. So I'm happy with him. Doesn't wear a boot. You know, he's probably not going to end up wearing a pole. He wears one right now, but just pace is really clean. Pace is nice. As long as his attitude stays good, he'll be a good little horse. Mr. Caper, I talked about him in the opening also. This is a nice colt. A nice colt. Small, and he's got a race on a big track. I don't know what the hell that's going to mean come the summertime, but Mr. Caper is a very, very nice colt. Man, oh man, he's such a beautiful horse to watch and such a nice horse to sit behind. I got to go with him on Wednesday. I was really, really thrilled with him. Not an Angel, looked good again. Still heard that little flutter in her throat pulling up. I think just, again, constant work will have that dissipate in time. I don't see it getting worse. I see it getting quietly better. So, I guess not quietly, but I see it getting better. So I'm very, very happy with her. I've been happy with her forever. She's just a nice filly. Oh So Pine looked good again on Saturday. I had him in with Pacers, and I had Todd on him. Todd started, for some reason, about a country mile behind us and finished up right beside us, so he had a lot of trot on the end of it. This colt's he has been short of speed for quite a while. He's a very, very nice colt, and happy with what I saw on Saturday. I didn't specifically talk to Todd about him. I saw him for most of the mile, down out of the corner of my eye, but I know he went well, and he'd said coming off the track he was really happy with him. Quartz Blue Chip, another filly, a little cranky, a little cranky from time to time, and she trained good, beautiful gait. I really hope this filly comes forward because she's got a beautiful gait, and she is fast. I've been in 25 with her, I think. I'd like to see a little more grit, a little more dirt in her, but she's not there yet, but she can be easily enough. Working doesn't seem a problem, though. She's fast. She gets over the ground really, really well. Ready for the beach. He's ready for the scalpel. He's getting gelded on Wednesday, old Beach. but he worked well on here Saturday. It's almost like he thought if he went out and trained really well that he'd make his way off the list, but he could have broke the track record, and he was still going to be gelded on Wednesday. He bit me last week, and that was it. That was the last straw. He bit a lot of people in the barn and acted up, and he's a little bugger in the barn, kicking the walls and bouncing around, and it's going to be easier to bounce around because it's going to be a little bit lighter come Thursday morning. So Beach, he probably won't train next Saturday under the drone. Obviously, he's being gelded Wednesday, but you know, he's done his work well. I think the time off will help him too, and happy with what I've seen. But I'm not gonna risk having a sour horse in June because I didn't want to geld him in March, and that's really what it comes down to. So he's gonna be gelded on Wednesday, but I think that'll be a huge help for Ready for the Beach. Rock on the Roll, trained good again. Very happy with him. He's just quietly one of those, you know, one of those gatekeepers. He's always there. He's always training well. He's always doing his work. James went with him one day. He really liked him. I think I'm going to try to go with him, or James. I'll try and get James on him next Saturday if he's coming out, and we'll see how he looks. Where are we at? RV LeBron. Finally, some forward movement from RV LeBron. There's a horse we gelded. Different horse now. I saw him on the track the other day. I knew who it was, but he looked so good I had to ask anyway. I said, geez, is that RV LeBron? I said, yeah. He's relegated to the point where I just don't want to go with him. You know, he was sour and ignorant, making breaks, and I'll go with him now. He looked good the other day training. Gislin went with him, one of her riders here, and he looked really good. So happy with what I saw the other day. These horses, you know, you can see some dramatic changes from week to week, and I definitely saw one in that colt. See You in Tuscany continues to look good again. Danny went with him, said he was good again on Saturday. Very happy with what I've seen with this colt. You know, he's making breaks all the time, but Danny's got him hung up good. You know, we got all the horses in the top barn. Then there's some horses in the shed row 3 just down to the next barn, and Danny's in there with him. And he asked if he can make some changes on him a few weeks ago. I said, yeah, go ahead. And he's right. They look good, look great. So he's doing a great job with that colt. And that colt's doing a great job for him. Screaming Hawk looked good again, doing his work well. Todd went with him Saturday, trotted perfectly, looked good. I was very happy with him. Stolen Dance trotted also 1 mile and 2:35. Very, very happy with Stolen Dance. Pretty hard not to be happy with her. She, I keep telling you about her. You know, she's bred really well. She's one of the few fillies. You know, I don't want to be in the breeding business, but we do have a lot of clients that are interested and always ask me about broodmare bands. And if we were gonna, this would be the first one. She's very well bred. She's got a great attitude. She doesn't got the greatest conformation, but I don't think that's her fault. I don't think God was paying attention when he put her together, but she does her work well. Trained really well the other day, and she really loves being on the track. So Stolen Dance. Stonebridge Proud hit a big quarter crack left front. We did not train him right front. We did not train him on Saturday. If you saw the last time I went with him, he's on that line hard. A big dirty foot separation in a bad area right here on the back of his foot. We cleaned it up, wired it. He's sound now. He looks great, but I wasn't gonna tempt fate on Saturday. We just left him alone, jogged him lightly 2 miles. Stonebridge Oil trained good again. Nothing bad to say about this filly. She's got a great gait, great attitude. She goes out and looks good. You're going to see her really jump up one of these days, but there's no rush. There's no time for her. She's going to make it, I think. Her knees were bothering her. They don't appear to be bothering her at all now, and Harry's pretty protective of her, and I'm glad for that because he does a great job with her. So really happy with what I've seen with Stonebridge Loyal. Stonebridge Simba, again, looked fantastic on Saturday. Danny went with him again, really likes that colt. He very rarely makes mistakes, and he's just a beautiful trotter to look at, watch, and sit behind. So Stonebridge Simba, again, one of our top trotters. Sunshine's Finest. Todd said he was on the left line a little bit the other day training, but I saw him. I thought he looked great. Brett loves that colt, Brett McDonald. He didn't go with any Saturday. He's got his own stable down there, that kid. So he went with, or Todd went with Sunshine's Finest, and I think Brett gets along a little bit better with him also, that colt. He's lazy still, but he's reserved. I won't go as far. I'll upgrade him from lazy to reserved. He keeps himself in reserve, but when you spark him up, he can really, really pace. And he gave Maintenance Man all he wanted there in the last drone video, and he didn't look as good Saturday, but I'm not concerned. The colt looked fantastic the last month, and very, very happy with what I've seen with him. Stud Muffin, I already touched on him. He's not going to be ready to go till later in the summer at the earliest. Doing his work well, trained pretty good the other day. Just taking our time with him. Swandre the Giant, I touched on him also, one of the Indiana breds. My God, that thing can trot. He is a beautiful trotter. He's the only Swan for all we have. The only Swan for all I've ever had. Nope, I had one. Last year. I liked her also. She broke down though. This guy's not breaking down. My God, he gets over the ground beautifully. He's a big horse. He gets over the ground like a small horse. If that makes any sense. He really moves quick. He's fast, but he's got a big, huge frame on him. So really, really, really happy with Swan Ray the Giant. Butler did it. Trained great here on Wednesday for me. He was okay yesterday. I thought his hobbles might have been a little bit tight. I had talked to Danny about him, and that colt, he's really, really coming forward. His attitude's probably about 70% right now, but it's come up from what it was when he was a stud. And I think over the next month or so, you're really going to see this colt start to wow people. Too Far Gone. Two things. One, she loves her work. Man, oh man, I've never seen a horse get ears up all the time on the track. And she can really go. She's really learning to go too. So really, really, really happy with Too Far Gone. Straight in the jog cart, not running in, not on a line. Just looks really, really good. I expect she's been in 234, I think. So she's catching up quickly to everybody. She's right there with them. So really, really happy with Too Far Gone. Just a really nice filly. Tomorrow's headline is on the line. He's not put together perfect, this colt, but he can really pace really fast. I've been sub 230 with him. He's done it the right way. Again, Ricky went with me the other day and said he's hogging on the head check and on the right line, but I think we can fix that. Pretty sure we can fix that. So we're going to work on that with tomorrow's headline coming this week. But he's done everything we asked him to. Really quick on his feet, a really long hobble, nice horse. I think we're slowly making progression every week with him. You know, they might get on a line, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's regression. That doesn't mean the horse is backing off. It just means the horse needs to be watched. That's all. I don't see any lameness. You're going to see soreness from time to time, but I don't see any lameness, and I think we have a pretty good handle on his issues, and I think you're going to see them get better and better and better. Twinsburg trained good again. She's coming slowly. That filly, she had some real time off. She had some OCDs taken out of her hind ankles, and I was really happy with her gait and the way she looks. Attitude still needs to come forward a bit. Still a little bit cranky and not certain she wants to do all her work properly. But that'll dissipate as we get training down, especially when this weather starts to change. You see a lot of the fillies start to brighten up and sharpen up also. Time all too low. I trained him Wednesday. He looked great. Ricky went with him Saturday. He made a little break. Again, nothing that we can't fix. I said this to you a couple of weeks ago. I'll be heartbroken if this doesn't turn into a nice horse. He's got all the makings of a good horse written all over him, and I'm really, really excited to see where this colt's going to end up. I'm going to try to go with him as much as I can. I will be going with him next Saturday, but I wasn't disappointed with him yesterday. A little frustrating to watch him make a break when he shouldn't, but just the little transitions in and out of the turns that I talked to you about earlier on another horse. And when the horses get to the turns, they have to what the thoroughbreds would call switch leads. So a lot of trotters, you'll see them put a step in getting into the turn, maybe put a step in coming out of the turn. They're switching their leads. They're transitioning in and out of the turns. And some horses, they have to find their way. And it takes a little bit longer, and there has to be consistency there. And Houdini's learning to go, learning that transition. And he's trying to get it. For 3 weeks, he was over at Classy Lane with Amy also. So he was on a 7/8 mile track. Probably didn't help him, but he'll get it. And he was good on Wednesday. And he'll be good again next Saturday, I'm sure of that. Time Altula looked great, trained well. Harry went with him. We had him in a little softer bunch, and he just toyed with us, and it was very, very good. You could tell the horse was out there having a lot of fun, too. Warrawee Ultra. Not really breaking news. She made a break. I don't know why. When I go with this filly, I make sure she's good and thought out. She's growing. She's a few little aches and pains, and you really got to have her on her toes. And you really got to have her thought out when she comes out. And Harry likes her and he goes with her, but I'm not certain that he gets along the best with her. So I can't go with her every day. I'll try and go with her every drone day to make sure everything works properly, but I can't go with her every single day. And I think I'll definitely go with her this Wednesday and Saturday to make sure she's right. She looked fine to me. She just loses herself. She's just a little green, a little stupid, and it's always in those areas. I was just talking about those transitional areas in and out of turns. That's where you lose her. And you just have to have her on her toes, I think. So I'll go there this week. I don't have any concern. She was the same filly I've seen 100 times before. And I just give her a wash. It just is what it is. West 52nd, we made some changes in his headgear. Ricky trained him the other day, and he said, this colt just feels like he could go around 20 times. Like, he's a powerhouse. He should be in a field pulling out stumps somewhere. Like, he's a big boy, strong, and he just doesn't appear to get tired. And, you know, he made that break in the mud 2 weeks ago, but he didn't show any issues. Didn't show any issues yesterday. He looked fantastic. Yes, one of the biggest movers, finally done. One of the biggest movers of the entire week was Yes. Yes looked great yesterday. He's starting to come into himself. Keep in mind, this is a man of many missions. Zeppelin B didn't start to show up till, he didn't stop annoying people till about June of his 2-year-old year. And Yes is getting there. Looked great. Todd went with him, said he was very happy with him. He looked like a total professional. So for me, for everybody else in the barn, happy to see Yes. And this is a long video. This is all of them. It's 100 horses. So sink your teeth into it. I'll try and keep these videos going. If you guys don't mind watching an hour of me talk, I'll talk for an hour. Anyway, that's them all. That's all the horses in the 3 shedders. Now, if a horse is owned by me or 2 or 3 people, like Conway Holiday, didn't make it into the video, but I'll tell you, Conway Holiday had some issues. Myself and another gentleman owned that horse. He raced in the maiden. I drove him Saturday night. He finished 3rd. He was terrible up until that point. He was making breaks and getting out of gear. All we did was treat him for EPM, and that was a huge difference. So I guess we know where to start treating him. So very, very good on Saturday. Horses like that may not be on the list. Mystical Mission, Jason's thrilled. There's a good horse. He finally won the other night. He told me he thought his feet were really sore. We got him back in to go Wednesday at Flamborough. Now, Wednesday at Flamborough, the reason we could get him back in there is because he hadn't raced until after the draw. So as of right now, he doesn't fit that class, but he fit the class at the time of the draw. So therefore, he is eligible to race in London on Wednesday. Horses like that may not make it on the list, but it is what it is. I give you 100 horses, or close to 100 horses, all the ones I could think of. Anyway, I just spent an hour talking to you. Very, very happy. If you guys like the format in which we do this, I'm happy to do this every Sunday for you. I usually have an hour on Sundays to talk, so it all worked out great. This week's been very good. The horses have been good. Obviously, some really, really terrible news with Lemus Son, but you know, guys, it's the tough part of horse racing, and nobody likes to see that happen, especially when that somebody is me that owns half the horse. But just the way it is. So we're going to do our best to give Lima the best care and get him back on his feet and get him back training and have him ready for late summer, early fall. But you're not going to see him till then. So anyway, you guys, I hope you had a great weekend. Hope everything is going well for you. Hope your families are healthy. And we will see you at the track this week.